All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rachal Kodash. I want to say double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This Rob Mouth at the Nebraska camp. This is GMS and he pushed to the mark. And got the brother Yatazat with me. And we just wanted to go over the triumvirate, and the surrounding situations, of importance, or surrounding topics of importance when dealing with the triumvirate. Okay, so there's a prophecy we're gonna go into, which is Second Ezra, the 11th chapter, for starters, and then we'll start breaking it all down after that.
It's the Second Ezra chapter 11 and verse 1. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads.
Okay, so that sea is the people. Okay, and we go over that. We pursuant to Revelations. We get that real quick.
Revelation chapter 17 verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are people and multitudes and nations and tongues.
Yep, so that's the people, okay? Nations and tongues, all right? And it said it had 3 heads and 12 feathers, all right? The 3 heads are Julius, Crassus, and Pompey, okay? Pompey was the military. Julius was more of the charismatic leader. He was a leader, you can say, because he had the military might as well. He had the general prowess, just the same as Pompey, okay? And Crassus had the financial gain. All 3 of these guys were fighting and jockeying for political position, mainly through war and plunder, okay? So it was a lot of jockeying for position, all right?
Is it okay if I grab this to back you up?
Yeah.
This is something I got from a website called thecollector.com. It says each member of the first triumvirate brought unique strengths to their alliance. Julius Caesar, from a prestigious aristocratic family, was a rising star with military ambitions and a keen political mind. Pompey the Great was a celebrated general, enjoying widespread support from both the army and the populace thanks to his military successes. While Crassus, the wealthiest man in Rome, sought high office and military glory driven by a desire to match the accomplishments of his peers.
Yeah, in which these guys were jockeying for position, but they pretty much came to a conclusion, and I believe it was through Crassus and Pompey that pretty much started the idea, okay? Basically when they went down to extinguish that the revolt of Sparta, or Spartacus, pursuant to you can see it on HBO and a couple other documentaries or movies, but Spartacus was based off of that situation. And there's another movie that happened like that, and it was pretty entertaining, I would say. I don't know about the historical accuracy, but it was entertaining. Go ahead, brother. Is that all you had to that?
Yeah. I just want to, just get that to back up your statement.
Yep. So the 12 feathers. Let's get the 12 feathers real quick. That represents the other surrounding Caesars that were also involved, because it said out of the sea came a 3-headed eagle with 12 feathers. Okay.
You want the rundown of the 12?
Yeah.
The 12 feathers being Julius Caesar, Augustus Caesar, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian.
Okay, so these were the 12. That's beautiful. These are the 12 that they pretty much was the main guys, because you have the contrary feathers, which it speaks of in 2nd Ezra the 11th. That's talking about the Caesars that were pretty much, getting killed off and assassinated, because a lot of them probably didn't reign a day or 3 days. Not even that. They was getting knocked off soon as they got in office, because it really was just a power play to get in certain positions, by these guys, just like Julius and them. But it got once Julius came into office, we all know Julius proclaimed himself as emperor, and that's when a Caesar, the title of Caesar came, was through Julius Caesar, you know. And again, that's a title in which you pretty much, you know, use is like president, czar, monarch, and things like that, you know. So we can slow down a little bit. You won't end up in Spain by the time we finish. But yeah, so those that's the breakdown to that. But what we wanted to go over today is the surrounding information, because we got Julius Caesar, and what part did he have to play with the Middle East. You know, everybody pretty much know. You know, they had. Can you find out the area that was under Roman control during that time? You know, because you had a lot of things within a province. And when you go into your history, you'll find out that it was a lot of control via through taxes. That's what they really wanted at the end of the day, was that good old tax money from the other nations. Okay, that's why they had a lot of mercenaries. They had a lot of, you know, because you got to pay for the mercenaries, you got to pay for these ventures. You also got to keep the upkeep of Rome in itself. You know, so those not mercenary, but those taxing those nations and having that control helped out. Okay.
That area of the Middle East would be like up in here, talking like the Judea and
Nah, the whole province.
Oh, the whole, okay,
So under Rome, the things that were under Roman control.
Oh well, Egypt.
We go this way.
Egypt, Hispania, and Greece, North Africa, Spain, Macedonia, basically the whole Mediterranean region. All of that was under Roman control.
We say Turkey, pretty much Turkey. The Mesopotamia area, you know, so they had a extensive, and the Middle East as well. When you talk about Syria, Turkey, they also went in Babylon and dealt with the Persians as well. Okay, they had some excursions out there. Those were the places they controlled, but they also went further east, like I said, into the Levant and the Mesopotamian area to conquer a couple people. Some things were successful, some things were unsuccessful. Okay, but at the end of the day, these three guys had a lot to do with things that were going on within Israel, especially dealing with prophecy. Even, you know, of course, the major build-up into Rome and modern-day Rome and the Senate and all that. That's you know, one of the things that's obvious from them having a Senate. You know, Caesar, aka a president. You know, the Roman, the way they write the laws, the way they build, everything was off the stock of Rome, okay? And Rome got a lot of their ideas, because you got to think about from transferring from kingdom to kingdom. You know, it started out with the Syrian Empire, where they were ruling, so their influenced the world. Their gods influenced the world, okay? It ain't like these people were just ruling the neighboring countries, just like, oh, I'm doing my own thing. No, man, these people were influenced by these people. They were the it factor. So their gods was the it factor, the way they dressed, the way they operated. And nations were like that, especially Israel. Okay? Then you go on into the statue of Nebuchadnezzar, where you got the Babylonian Empire, which took down the Assyrian Empire. It's not much written on the Assyrian Empire, but the Assyrian Empire is often, you know, what in the scriptures is related as Nineveh. The Assyrian Empire in Nineveh is associated with America, okay? 2nd Ezra 16th chapter, you know, the Lord calls them Assyrians, you know, and Nineveh, which is a merchant city, which is why that correlation is made, as well as the gods that they were associated with, and as well as the way that they utilized their conquering schemes. They were the first people to pretty much make metal, make iron. You know, I think it was steel or iron, and then Rome made the steel, either or. But they were the first people to make that metal, where everybody was dealing with the Bronze Age, as you can say. the Metal Age came through, or the Iron Age came through the Assyrian Empire. And when they took over people, they would just pretty much lay them flat and then relocate them, okay? Same way Esau did Gad in Babylon, all right? They pretty much sacked us and took us down and relocated us, okay? And then they use their certain rules and regulations and contracts to steal more land. But that's a different subject. After the Assyrian Empire was taken down, via through Nebuchadnezzar, and once that happened, the Babylonian Empire became to rule, and that's when you get, a lot of the assimilation practices and not taking over, not utterly taking over, but just taxing and showing an energy of appreciating. They didn't just engulf them. All right, what's that? Because Pompey practiced that with Israel. All right,
maybe like a client state.
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention, which is Pompey practiced that in Israel with the client state when he sacked Israel the first time. And like I said, that's why they all are important, because Crassus pretty much went down there, and I would say Pompey went down there first. Okay,
yep.
You got that?
Yeah. I got the account of him going.
Go ahead, but
so Pompey was in that region dealing with the Third Mithridatic War, and so when we read from the Josephus, book 14, it says the final collapse of the Seleucid Empire allowed Pompey to annex Syria in 64 BC.
You see, they were off in Syria, and there was annexing, which pretty much means to have them depart from another nation and join your nation, and make a league with them. So that shows how they were trying to get a lot of these people and turn them into client states. Okay, same thing with how it's going on in Crimea. It's the same thing that Rome was doing. Okay, just getting people to break off from their set and join their set. That's all it is. Go ahead, brother.
But its dissolution de-established the region, while many of its cities had used the power vacuum to achieve independence. So reading on, it says Pompey's incursion further south into Judea was occasioned on account of its inhabitants under the leadership of Hyrcanus II and Aristobulus II.
Yeah, so this is very pivotal. Again, you got Pompey, Crassus, and Julius Caesar. These guys are making their power moves, getting into political positions. They're trying to, rule. They're trying to create a Fortune 500 company, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
So, with this going on, they need revenue. They need outlets of increasing their power. Okay, and after leaving that Third Mithridatic War, Pompey headed south. Okay, and when he headed south, then that's when he ran into Aristobulus and Hyrcanus. And again, these were actions that were done by Israel, since the Hasmonean dynasty. And let's get that within the Maccabees, to prove that, how Judas, they had put a crown on him and things like that. But in that time, the heathen were actually jockeying for Israel's allegiance. Okay, they were the ones that were actually more, willing. All right, it was more of an equal thing. But in this time, fast forward to 66, was it 66 BC?
This was in 64.
Yeah, I'm just saying around the area. The 66
time.
BC, which where the revolt happened, they pretty much, just was more on the I need your help end. Now, even though Judas did say I need your help, it more was a power play, because it was even at a point that both was arguing about who they was making their sales pitches. Okay, but let's get the precept up for sure.
So First Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 17, it says, in consideration of these things, Judas chose Eupolemus the son of John, the son of Echos, and Jason the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome, to make a league of amity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude.
Yeah, because at that time, Rome and Greece were separate. And at that time, Rome and Greece were separate nationally and by nation. All right, those are the Japhites, and eventually the Grecians and the Edomites took over, because we all know that Rome was more of like an open door policy, you know, the same way that Babylon is, aka America. Okay, they have that open door policy. Well, you know, but at the same time, you know, which is a point that was brought out, is that even though it's open door policy, there was different respects. If you're a Roman citizen, you can come into Rome and leave in and out of Rome and flow through, but you didn't have the same rights and privileges as a Roman citizen did. And that was proof and biblical proof in how Paul was being treated. And we can get that real quick. Baba Kashai.
Let's see.
Because they was gonna actually put Paul to death, man.
Yeah.
All right. And when that happened, he mentioned that he was a Roman citizen. Okay. And that got pretty much, they couldn't. They were legally unable to do as they wanted with him. Okay.
I'm having trouble finding it right now, but because like you said.
Yeah, so Salakia, man, it cut off on us, but we're just going over how, you know, the process of everything. I'm just trying to start off because we kind of lost our spot. But just to fast forward, just saying the Assyrian Empire is where the 10 tribes eventually end up leaving out, because the Assyrian Empire, again, we're talking about the similarities of Rome. They were of America, how America took Jake from over here and brought him over there to make sure they served stronger citizens. That's the same way the Assyrian Empire had did the same thing to the nation of Israel. They took them out the land of Israel, and that's why they had to bring that Levite. Matter of fact, let's get that with Shalom and Nassar, you know, and they had to bring in a Levite in order to stop the lions from tearing the citizens up, because they weren't keeping the laws in the land. But that's just showing you how that tactic of the Assyrian Empire relocating was passed on down all the way up into America, man. You know, and Jake don't like to get into history, but that'll tell you why certain things are done and certain actions are being made. Okay? Did you find it? If you can't, don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah.
But and then you go into, okay, the Assyrian Empire was taken down by Nebuchadnezzar, you can say, or, you know, the Neo-Babylonian Empire. All right. And then when the Neo-Babylonian Empire came up, then it went into the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay. The Neo-Babylonian Empire is when the second temple was destroyed. Okay. Slakia, the first temple was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. And then after that, Cyrus, the Persian Empire, through the Medo-Persian Empire, there came up pretty much Cyrus into reign.
That's what you were talking about. Somebody's gonna get cursed.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna get some curses.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah. Cyrus came up into reign. He got the temple rebuilt. Okay. Everything was Yappa. And then you had the Medo Empire as well. All right. So once all that got transpired, then you go into what, dealing with the statue of Nebuchadnezzar, the Grecian, Medo-Persian, and then you go into Slakia, the Babylonian, Medo-Persian, and then you go into the Greco portion, not Greco-Roman, but Grecian. Okay, let's put it like that, because that's when Alexander came into reign and things like that, and that's when Israel began to become afflicted. Okay. Now again, remember the Lord prophesied unto King Solomon that he was going to rent the kingdom. Okay, Jeroboam and Rehoboam, and that's when it all happened, and it didn't fully manifest until the end of Rome. Okay. Matter of fact, let's get that precept where it says, the man of sin be revealed. Okay.
This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 3. It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first."
Yeah, and that falling away happened when the kingdom was rent. But there was a process. First, the Israelites as a nation separated, and then through Antiochus and all these other processes, through Babylonian Empire, they had their guys, the Syrians had their guys, their influences. Then the Medo-Persian had their influences. You know, Jake started venturing and going into, you know, because this is all that Gentile, you know, they're of the land of this land. This is how all that happened. All these kingdoms began to take us over, and our people assimilated to these kingdoms. Everybody didn't, but a lot of good portion of our people did, and it worsened during the time of Antiochus when he called out to have everybody follow a certain law, the swine's flesh and everything. So you got that, brother?
Yeah. So 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 41, it says, "Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Yep.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath."
Yep. And then they even went, let's get that other part when they built the tower looking over the temple, man. You know, find that out. They went as far as they built a place of exercise, and there was a portion where it reached high over the temple. Okay. And I believe they call that the citadel or something like that.
Is it in the same chapter?
It could be. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 33, it says, "Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And he put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare."
Yeah, so they became like pretty much a hub of Gentiles. All right. That's just like putting, you know, Republicans in the middle of a Democrat city and making it a gated community. You know what I'm saying? You see them going in and out, but the thing is that they still was united, because when it came down to, you know, politics, they all came to the forefront. But within there were skirmishes, because once you go into 66 or 69 AD, that's what triggered that revolt, because there was somebody profaned the temple or something like that. It was messing with the temple, and that caused a revolt. And Jake Israelites were going against Israelites all over Rome and in Israel. There was beefing. All of them was fighting. All right, because I believe one kicked out the other in Israel, and then word got out, and they was doing it to each other out everywhere else. I would like to believe the Grecians was like, "Hey, get your ass up out of here." The Hellenistic Jews was telling the regular Israel, "Hey, man, get the hell up out of here, man. You ain't welcome here." You know, it became this like beef. Same thing with Republicans and Democrats. Everybody being the same army, fighting the same war, but you're politically beefing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's like to give context to it. But we'll, you know, go back and back it up. Go ahead, brother.
And it says, "For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary and an evil adversary to Israel."
Yeah, so they was watching, because you couldn't circumcise, you couldn't do certain things, and they pretty much was overlooking. But after a point of time, we through the Maccabees were able to reestablish our laws by fighting back. Okay, and that fighting back, and this was where it started getting messy, is because we established the laws that the Maccabees reestablished and got the Hanukkah, the Feast of Lights, got that reestablished, and then they continue, because again, when they was fighting, that's when the Pharisees was with them fighting as well. But once they got the temple rededicated, the Pharisees say, "Oh, the job is done." Okay, but the Maccabees in themselves was like, "Nah, we need to spread and get more land so we can grow as a nation." They were more into an economic development more than a cultural development. Okay, and so the Maccabees continued to go to war, and then eventually it was taking over and winning. And you fast forward to John Hyrcanus, to where when he played like the role of Solomon, but he made deals with other nations and pretty much squashed all that back and forth with everybody. And that's where he set a crown upon his head. Now, the reason why this is important is because, remember, the line of David was prophesied to have a crown upon their head. And that's where the detachment, and you fast forward into Joseph, and he's like a regular guy. Because technically he was supposed to be where Herod was, right? But it wasn't, it got so disordered through Antipater and all the other stuff. All right, all this has, and how did Antipater get in office? Through Julius Caesar, okay? And how did Antipater get close to Julius Caesar? Through John Hyrcanus II, John Hyrcanus' son, okay? And Aristobulus, okay? Aristobulus he didn't like Edomites. He wasn't with all that. Hyrcanus was more of a puppet and more malleable. So the mother had put him into office and then kept Aristobulus next to her as a bodyguard, if you will. Okay?
I can grab that for you.
Chariot. Call lawyer.
You want to grab that for you?
Yeah, well, I want that what you had earlier, because I don't want you to drop that. You had something that you wanted to bring out, right?
I don't remember.
Okay, you go ahead and get what you got then.
Okay, so this is in Josephus book 13, chapter 16. So Alexandra, when she had taken the fortress, acted as her husband had suggested to her, and spake to the Pharisees and put all things into their power. Like you said, she gave them the reign over
she gave Pharisees that, and once you go into Yahushai's time, that explains why they were like how they got into that position of telling everybody and operating in that fashion. Because Pharisees was always in every city. They decided on the judgment of the law, but it was the citizens that really did all that. You know, if that makes sense. If somebody was committing adultery, the citizens would say to the Levites, hey, this person committed adultery. And the Levites would say, oh, that's death. You know what I'm saying? Based off the law. Or they'll say, say you kill somebody by mistake. You'll see the Levites and they'll say, hey, okay, go into this city. But it got to the point that they became the judge and the juror. Okay? They became, hey, everybody sit down. Everybody get up. Everybody move here. Everybody, these are taxes. And it wasn't the king doing it. Okay? Alexander gave the power over to the Pharisees. But the king still reigned in a way. It became like Rome. How they have a guy sitting on the throne, and then the Senate operates. Okay?
Now, we jump down a little bit. It says, Alexander left behind him 2 sons, Hyrcanus and Aristobulus.
Okay, so Alexander is the son of John Hyrcanus I. And through the Josephus, it is said that he received the message from the Most High to put Alexander up, even though he didn't want to, because Alexander wasn't to his liking as a person, his own son. But that's how Antipater got into office. It's through Alexander. Okay, that's how all that BS happened. Really, is through Alexander, but Hyrcanus is the one that needed him. So that he kind of was telling him what war to go to, what move to make, what to say. He was in his ear, man. Yeah. Okay, and then when Hyrcanus was out of there, all right, because how did Hyrcanus get power? He ran to. Did you get that account when they both ran to Pompey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get that.
They both ran up to Pompey, pretty much, yo, because Pompey was on his way to pass through Israel. He said, hey, I need your help, both of them. And one of them struck a deal, the other one struck a deal. Yeah. Now, these Romans don't know what the hell Israelite laws are. They just want that tax money.
Yeah.
So he like, well, I'm going to go with him because he's already in position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they put Aristobulus to the side, and Aristobulus had to get the fuck up out of there because they was at war. So whoever won that deal won the war, because pretty much I got my army, Aristobulus had his army, Hyrcanus had his army. They damn near equally matched. But if Pompey joins my side, we're going to win, because that's too much leverage. So they went out there and tried to strike a deal. Go ahead, brother.
So it says, And a little time afterward came ambassadors again to him, Antipater from Hyrcanus and Nicodemus from Aristobulus, which last also accused such as had taken bribes. First Gabinius and then Scaurus, the one 300 talents and the other 400. So this Hyrcanus complained that although he were the elder brother, he was deprived of the prerogative of his birth by Aristobulus, and that he had but a small part of the country under him, Aristobulus having taken away the rest from him by force.
Yeah, see, because Aristobulus pretty much was punking him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But Hyrcanus was the elder, and he used that as leverage. Because, again, remember, Pompey don't know nothing about nothing. So he was like, well, what makes a person out of y'all two brothers? What make y'all the ruler? What is y'all rules? And then you go to the Levites, and the Levites was like, the oldest is supposed to reign. And it was like, oh, well, Hyrcanus, you're it. He didn't care about it. He was like, just in this beef, because I need the tax money. You can't get bread if y'all are fighting amongst each other. Y'all can't ship out stuff. It's a government shutdown. You know?
It says, he also accused him that the incursions which had been made into their neighbors' countries and the piracies that had been at sea were owing to him, and that the nation would not have revolted unless Aristobulus had been a man given to violence and disorder.
Yeah, so they was just, making a case. Pompey ended up just going with Hyrcanus. Now what happened was, okay, Pompey's like, all right, cool. Hyrcanus, I'll meet you down there. Hyrcanus shook out. He goes down there. Now remember, Hyrcanus is more on the side of the sellouts and things like that. Or that's how, because the whole time Hyrcanus and Aristobulus, both of them had the sects of Israelites that were backing them. You had the Citadel Israelites that was backing one side, and then you had the Israelites that were keeping the laws backing the other side. All right. Now, Hyrcanus let them in, let Pompey in the city.
Yeah.
But the other Israelites was like, hell no.
Yeah.
So it was like they let him in, but they didn't. And that pissed Pompey off to start going to war and start pretty much getting physical. Yep. Okay? You got something on that?
Yeah.
You go
ahead. It says of the Jews there fell 12,000, but of the Romans very few. It says Absalom, who was at once both uncle and father-in-law to Aristobulus, was taken captive, and no small enormities were committed about the temple itself, which in former ages had been inaccessible and seen by none.
Yeah, because so Pompey, you go ahead, brother.
It says, for Pompey went into it, and not a few of those that were with him also.
Yeah, we were supposed to get the part before that.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's giving the other information, because pretty much Pompey goes into the temple, all right? And they said, well, wherever it is, because you could tell the arrogancy of an Edomite. He probably, man, let me see what's up in there. Y'all be doing all this and this and that. Like, with his chest poked out, okay? But his story says he ignorantly went in there like he didn't know. But I think knowing how Esau is, he went in there and wanted to get a peek and just told him, y'all clean it up and do whatever y'all got to do to clean. I just wanted to see what's going on in here. But Pompey did have enough dignity following how the Grecians were to leave Israel to their laws by allowing them to clean it and get the temple properly dedicated after he walked in there, because he went into the Holy of Holies, okay? And when that happened, he allowed them to fix it up, okay?
I got that section for you.
Okay, yeah, you go ahead.
So this is the prelude to him doing all of that. It says, now there was a sedition of the men that were within the city, who did not agree what was to be done in their present circumstances, while some thought it best to deliver up the city to Pompey. But Aristobulus' party exhorted them to shut the gates, because he was kept in prison. Now these prevented the others, and seized upon the temple, and cut off the bridge which reached from it to the city, and prepared themselves to abide a siege. But the others admitted Pompey's army in, and delivered up both the city and the king's palace to him.
Yeah, so it was a quagmire, because you're not about to win this war, because they let them in, and then you're closing the gates at the same time. And Pompey pretty much got PO'd and shut that down. But when Pompey did that, I believe I don't know if it's that time or it was another time, but Pompey pretty much got PO'd and laid them down, and then turned Israel into a client state. Okay.
That was the results of this whole situation. That's
okay.
Joined Rome at that point.
Yeah. So pretty much, can we get that client state? because that's when Israel, because remember, before then we fought against it. We never was a client state to the Grecians, okay? We were just Israelites, and they was coming through taxing us, but we was never fighting their armies and doing that. We were just getting taxed, because again, Alexander allowed people just to keep their laws, do what they wanted to do. He just taxed them, okay? And when you were called upon, you were expected to, pretty much like show up, but it wasn't even like that. They were hired mercenaries, okay?
It says in a client state. In the field of international relations, a client state is a state that is economically, politically, and militarily subordinated to a more powerful controlling state.
Yeah, so Rome now became, like, it reminds me of that King Arthur movie where they'll take your kids and take like one of your kids, like the youngest or one of them, and have them serve in the army for their it's pretty much they don't got to pay you. You ain't no mercenary no more. You work for us. You're indebted. You know what I'm saying? So it changed on that level. And then just to fast forward along on the same subject, once Herod the Great had died, Rome had totally took over Israel and made them a part of Rome. Okay, so that happened as well. Now going back, Pompey pretty much took them over, made them a client state. So now that's when was it through Pompey or what happened with the city state? I forget who. I think Julius Caesar made allowed.
Antipater and his sons?
Yeah, allowed Antipater and his sons. Pretty much on the throne, he allowed the religion to be the state. Okay, which that's how you get when Pilate was like, hey, you execute him. Because now they're acting as the police now. Now they got Roman approval, because you can't just go and kill somebody in Israel without passing it through Rome type stuff. So now that they got a city state, now they can legally present documents and all this and that, man. All right, they were certified. All right, and it may not seem big to people, but it's just like you can't sit here and open a business in Babylon without no certificate. I don't care if you're able to do it. You can have all the resources, everything you have, but if you don't have that paperwork, they're gonna shut you down. And that's how it was in Rome, man. They really dealt with that paperwork. Okay.
Like, I don't got that section on lock right now.
Yeah, it's called Tawab. So, Pompey was doing his thing, but eventually Julius Caesar won that, because Pompey ended up dying from beefing with Julius Caesar. Yeah. Okay, Crassus already. What happened to Crassus?
Crassus.
Because Salakia, we passed this up too. Because remember, the triumvirate have a relationship. Now we said Pompey went into the temple. But Crassus went into the temple as well, but he sacked the temple, okay? Yeah. He didn't tear down the temple. That's a big difference, because there's this, I had it and I found it. Let's see here. When it says, when you see the, Salakia, so again, the abomination that maketh desolate, it tells you to flee into the mountains. But there's a couple times that you can mistake the Nero situation, okay, with a couple other ones that happened before that, okay, because the Nero situation, it goes into the 70 weeks, okay, in the book of Daniels, and it's in reference to that. But there's a situation that happened in the middle of that sounds similar, and it's not the same. Okay? So we're going to get that, one of those references. You go ahead, brother.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 54. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
Yeah, so Antiochus pretty much, when he went into there, not only did he set up, I forget what god he set up. I think it was Marduk or Mars, one of them gods in the temple, because he pretty much was salty. He was doing everything opposite of what Israel stood on, purposely sacrificing swine's flesh on the altar. Like, that ain't even associated with that guy. But this is what meat I want to be served on there, because y'all think it's a game.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what he was trying to do. Like, let Israel know who was boss. And he didn't understand that how seriously we took the loss.
Yeah.
Okay, and it caused a lot more of a headache than he thought it out to be. Okay, but again, that abomination of desolation is not the same thing when it's referencing that when we see the abomination of desolation, flee ye into the mountains. That's talking about Titus. Okay, when he totally destroyed the temple, he knocked everything down through what's your boy name? What's his name? Vespasian.
Okay.
They pretty much knocked everything down, but the northern wall, the southern wall, and they took everything out. All right, because that's the main difference, was the tearing down of the temple. Because again, Pompey went in there. You could call he's an abomination too, a desolation, which is Edomites going into the temple. But you had Pompey going there, then you had Crassus going there. You also had Antiochus went in there, and he put up altars and idols. Okay, but the abomination of desolation is when they dissected it and destroyed the temple when they went in there. Okay, because that desolation, goes into destruction as well. Okay,
I got that account with Crassus going in there if you want it.
Yeah, let's get that as well. Because
Okay.
Crassus is about, again, remember we said Crassus what? The financial might.
Yep.
So when he seen that bread, he couldn't resist it. All right.
Now it says, from Antiquities of the Jews, book 14, chapter 7. Now Crassus, as he was going upon his expedition against the Parthians, came into Judea and carried off the money that was in the temple, which Pompey had left, being 2,000 talents, and was disposed to spoil it of all the gold belonging to it, which was 8,000 talents. He also took a beam, which was made of solid beaten gold, of the weight of 300 minnae, each of which weighed 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, so there was a beam that was surrounded with wood hidden in the temple. It was put up like a regular beam, but the beam was just overlaid. Like you got something that's nickel plated. It was a solid gold beam that was wood plated, if you can say, So it was just reversed, like how Jake be putting a 20 on top of the hundreds. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what was done. So Crassus went in there. Then so all that's going on. The Pharisees rising up into power. Julius Caesar solidified everything, because once Pompey died, Crassus was out there. It was just Julius Caesar as a lone guy.
Yeah.
And so Julius Caesar gave him power, but then Julius Caesar died, and Mark Antony is the one that really set everything, like solidified everything.
It wasn't Mark Antony, because when Hyrcanus and Antipater went to help Caesar in Egypt, he was taking out Mark Antony and Ptolemy.
No, Julius Caesar died before Mark Antony did.
Okay.
Julius Caesar died because him and Mark Antony, his team or alliance, he died because he dealt with Cleopatra, and then Mark Antony dealt with Cleopatra after. So when Julius Caesar died, he then Mark Antony, Antipater ran to Mark Antony knowing that they were allied, because Herod had to go into Persia, had to flee into Persia until he got that power back through Antipater. So pretty much Mark Antony set him up and solidified his spot through paperwork, you can say. And then that's when he died, and they were established. But then Herod the Great was ruling about that time. All right. Now all this is important, because why are we talking about Herod the Great? Why are we talking about him being Idumean? Why are we talking about Hyrcanus? Because you go into Yahushai, let's get the account where he was supposed to be born, and how did Herod react? He was trying to, with all his might, eliminate Yahushai, because why? He was prophesied to be the king of the Jews. Okay, and it is not like you're hearing it in Rome, or you're hearing it in Syria or Italy. You're hearing it on your front doorstep. You're seeing the crowds. You're seeing, the people, go crazy behind this prophecy, and that goes into the wise men and everything. So now you got to collect all the information. Herod the Great is an Idumean. He got in there through Antipater. He knows he's illegitimate, which is why he married Miriam, which is one of the daughters of the Hasmonean dynasty, which is the Maccabees, which is she was one of the daughters of, through Hyrcanus and all them. So he married Miriam, even though he had an Israelite woman as a wife. He divorced her and married Miriam to more solidify his spot on that throne. Because why? Who set up that spot on that throne? The Levites through the Maccabees, through Hyrcanus. So it would solidify that union of him saying, okay, yeah, I deserve to be king if he marries Miriam, okay? Which is what Herod did, all right? But eventually he died, and Rome fully, I believe through Vespasian or one of these guys, they fully took over Israel, okay? But going back to Herod, he found out Yahushua is to be born, and he was going balls to the walls to try to eliminate Yahushua. So let's get that account.
Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him.
Yeah, because he's an Idumean, he's an imposter on that throne. So you hear about, and he's an Edomite. He don't understand prophecy. He don't understand this is our Messiah that we dealt with, that there's an anointing, that this is a godly succession. He's like, oh shit, and we didn't fought to get this power. They're thinking about sitting on that seat, just like the wicked Pharisees. They got to the point that they got comfortable with sitting on a seat. And they are technically imposters because only the line of King David is technically supposed to be on the throne. That's why it's a big thing about the house of David. That's why it's an important statement. Okay, the elect is of the house of David. The ones that kept the laws, the one that stood stiff. There's a lot that's allocated with that. Go ahead, brother.
And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Hamashiach should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
Yeah, you hear that, a governor, hold up, you go ahead.
Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when ye have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also.
Yep. So, because once you go into the 70 weeks, it's all the way up to there, man. That triumvirate, and this is how much of a part to play that the triumvirate had. They're more like a bridge into Rome, into the Roman captivity, into them succeeding into power, okay? Putting hell on us and pretty much ultimately pushing us off into the west coasts of Africa, because that's the part of the wilderness that we fled to, talking about the southern kingdom, Judah. Because the northern kingdom already was in the Americas. The southern kingdom fled it to West Africa, and then that's where the Atlantic slave trade happened, okay? And that's why we say Africans didn't sell Africans into slavery. Okay?
It says when they heard the thing when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. So here
which was a chariot, by the way.
I'll just read it through Salakia. It says, when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh.
Yeah, and Yahushua was born on the Pesach, man. Okay, because that's why they had to get Yahushua was born in a manger or a hotel, because they couldn't, or a manger because they couldn't find a hotel or a place to stay because of the Passover. The Passover is not in December. Okay, the Passover is not December 25th. It's not in the winter. Hanukkah is in the winter. The Feast of Lights is in the winter, but the birth of Yahushua is not. All right. Semiramis' time, Muz Ishtar, that's the winter. That's December 25th. That's New Year's. That's Easter. Okay? But Easter is technically Easter is around the time where Yahushua was born. But it's not Easter. It's called Pesach when you go into the blue letter. Okay?
And being warned of the Most High in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
Yeah, so once he died, the sun rose up, and the sun didn't know, you know what I'm saying? The sun wasn't on that same type of time. All right, but they still didn't go over there because it was, sketchy and weary. You still the sun. So if you hear about us being around, then they'll make that connection. But again, this is how all that connects. The Idumeans getting up into power, and then there's around the time Yahushua being born, the Gentiles, or Antiochus, all these, this Edomite influence caused the major rift and the rip between us culturally. And they're doing it to this day, So yeah, that's pretty much it with that, man. Hopefully this was edifying. With that being said, we're going to give all praises unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Rakal Kodash. Double honor to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessed citation to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth sincerity. Shalom.
Shalom.